Hello my little Stowe warriors. Yep, and I'm back. I know what you're thinking, it's been probably a couple of months since I've bothered doing a video or anything like that, but to be honest guys, I've got myself, the old Oculus Rift VR, and I got stuck in the virtual reality world and gave up on all the videos for a while, but I'm back. And I thought what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring out probably an older build, but something I've revamped. I've sort of cheesed it up a little bit, good for PvP. I wanted to get this video out there before before the changes come about, all the new meta and all that sort of crap. So yeah, I'm doing this little build now. It's going to be the old temporal bad boy again. See, as I say, I'm bringing this out before the new meta comes, because who knows what's going to happen when the changes come about, if this sort of crap's going to be useless from now on. But at the moment, this build here I'm going to show you is pretty damn sweet, if you ask me. I mean, it definitely holds its own, it definitely kicks some ass, and it's a bit different, I suppose. It's a little bit different, but it's something I've never tried before anyway. If you see my other videos, you probably presume I'm like a dual heavy sort of guy. I prefer just my cannons and doing all of that sort of shit, but as you well know, the in-game PvP lag for dual heavy cannons, it ruins the game in my eyes for any cannon runner like myself. You know what it's like, you're running at somebody a 10k away, you're doing a straight run at them and nothing happens, and you fly straight past them. It's just shit. That sort of crap does my nut in, and so I thought I'd cheese it up and I'd try, as you can see here, these little things, the just the normal cannons. Thought I'd give these a whirl, see what they're like, and actually it's pretty damn sweet. I can't really complain. It's like having your beam fire at will, but with cannons instead, and it still makes the build quite interesting. Doesn't make it totally cheesy, adds a bit of fun into the entropic style of things. You still get to use cannons, so I like it anyway. And at the moment I'm only using these Protonic Polar ones. I mean, they seem to work for me, if you ask me. I haven't really got any other ones because I'm not really going to spend money on single cannons, especially with all the changes about to come. I've literally only just done this sort of build, and these seem to work. They have that proton damage bullshit on critical. It's pretty low, but what I like to call this build, it's like death by 1,000 cuts sort of things. This is constantly always shooting, everything's always shooting, it's always proccing these plasma things, and eventually it's knocking off all their, it's proccing all their immunities, so the next lot's ready to go, and then you can come through with the big hits. So this works, and you're always sort of shooting, and it's nice, and it's always proccing that proton shit as long as you got probability manipulation up, to 30 seconds. You're pretty much critting all the time with that, so you're always getting that proton damage as well as that plasma burn damage, because obviously it's this Temporal Raider thing. It doesn't really have the right science consoles to do this sort of build, but I do actually like the entropic shit. I never used to, I got sick of it, I hated it, but then obviously everybody else is using it and you get sick of getting your ass kicked all the time, so you just think, if you can't beat them, join them, and if you're going to join them, kick their ass at it, so whatever. Okay, so going through the build, here we go then. We're going to go up front. We've just got the standard Protonic Polar cannons. I've just done them up to Mark 14. Their accuracy 2. And then obviously I've got the Piezo Polar dual cannon. This thing is sweet. I mean, I would love to have the beam on here as well and put a beam overload, because if you read the info on this thing, where is it? Once every 15 seconds this weapon triggers technical overload if you cannon rapid fire. So that electrical damage is, it doesn't say there, so I'm going to have to proc it and show you. So the electrical damage is, so proc the cannon rapid fire, check it out here, where is it? Okay, so 10,899 electrical, and that is actually a lot more when you're obviously buffing up, and every time you're doing cannon rapid fire, so every 15 seconds you're getting that. Say it's usually around a 50k hit for me, so every time I do a cannon rapid fire, the first hit is 50k straight away, so that's sweet. I mean, the beam obviously as well, if I could have the beam with the beam overload, because that as well does the technical overload. Where is it? When you do beam overload, blah blah blah, technical splash damage, and that again is another 50k hit. So if you have Maybe I should put it on. Maybe I should get rid of the, leave that on there and then put the beam on the back as well. Do the beam overload as you're running past them, so you got the double 50k. It's sweet. I do love that. I do love that sort of tack. So I keep these on there, and this all seems to work with these. Obviously, I've got another Protonic on the back there with the Act 2. And then I just have one of these Thorin infused things. It's basically for the placate chance. See, every 15 seconds or whatever you get to targets placated, blah blah blah. That pretty much is always going to happen. That as long as you're cannon rapid firing, you've just got one of these. That's pretty much every 15 seconds it's going to proc. So, I mean, I see it proc all the time, and people say I'm just constantly untargetable. So, sweet, cheese it up. Right, okay. So for gear, what I'm going to do is, it's going to be a bog standard sort of shit. You got the Solonai, got that for the drain, got that for the exotic particle gens, blah blah blah, bog standard. Impulse engines, I'm going for the Braden. People say obviously they're probably not that great, but I like them. I like that extra micropulse overcharge. It's like having another evasive manoeuvres sort of thing. If you're getting the shit and your evasives out and your emergency powder engines is out, so you can't recharge that, you just pop that and you'll run away pretty quickly. So yeah, I like it. It's another get out of jail free card, plus their hyper impulse engines, so can't go wrong. So I got a bit of a cold, so I'll probably sound like shit today, but I wanted to get this video out because tomorrow's Thursday, and no doubt all the changes are coming into effect, and everything I've just shown you on this video is a pile of shit, but I wanted to show it anyway. Right, gear on the warp core and the shields. We have got the Delta. No, I don't want the Delta. Oh shit, that wasn't meant to be there. Come on, where's my temporal? There it is. Okay, we don't have the Delta, we have the temporal. I don't know why the Delta was on there. So we've got those two. Basically, they're not amazing. I'd rather have the Iconian shields for that, that debuff shit every 10 seconds or whatever it is. But I need the two-piece on there because I'm using the Temporal Raider with all the entropic crap. You need the the two-piece for this at 25%, all damage over time, hazard effects, blah blah blah. So that's going to be a rapid DK, all that sort of shite. So it's good to have that two-piece on there. Plus they're not too bad. The shields are pretty good. Gives a bit more drain as well, which is nice. And obviously the warp core doesn't really do a great deal, just has that trajectory jump. I mean, that's the one really. You need that trajectory jump. If anybody ever holds you in a tractor beam or grabs you on a Titan's Rift and tractor beams you as well, or something else like that, you can just jump out of it. So that sort of shit is needed in PvP in my eyes, especially in a little ship like me. I'm squishy as hell, so I need to get the hell away. Okay, so devices, going to go for the red matter cap standard, and then the reactive armor catalyst standard again. I mean, people go for that Delta console, I can't remember what it's called, the temporal thing that does a cooldown, but I don't need to worry about that, so I've got the extra heal there. Okay, bits and pieces. Engineering, obviously it doesn't really matter. I say engineering, science, doesn't really matter, whatever. These don't really make any difference what they are, as long as you make sure you got your EPG there on my RCS accelerator. Got to have that from a turn rate. I don't really need it, but because it's got the EPG modifier, that's the only reason I have that there. I mean, that's how you do with these consoles. You just fill up with the EPG, everything you can possibly in these consoles to get some more exotic or drain or whatever you're trying to max out on. So, this is pretty self-explanatory why I've got it in there. It's got the EPG and it's got the turn. Sweet, have some of that. This again, it's got drain. As you can see, I've got the plasmonic leech on. I've got one of my abilities that I need to keep this build going is a drain ability, so I definitely have to have this as well because it has the EPG plus a drain mix, so it's a good console to have in there. This obviously will have to change when the new meta comes about, because apparently the plasmonic leech will be a pile of shite, which is a real bitch actually, because obviously with this build you're getting 3.4 every activation, so obviously I'm spamming shitloads of cannon shots, so my power levels are going through the roof. And as you can see here, I'm using cannon weapons, but my weapon power is low. But obviously with all the drain shit I've got going on, everything's at 125 constantly. So when this plasmonic leech gets nerfed and whatever, I don't quite know how the build's going to work out. But obviously in the future I'll come back with a different build without this sort of shit that you're going to have to change. Because obviously these as well, these are another one. The nerf that's going to come into play. these bloody consoles are going. So I mean, I never usually use these, but for this build, as I said before, it's like death by 1,000 cuts and all that shit. So these plasmas giving you 4,000 every time, proccing constantly, so it's always sort of hurting people. You know, you're not doing that spike damage, but you're doing that constant sort of beating them down. Then you do the spike with the entropy shit. So it really works really well. It's a good mix, but I don't know how. I don't think it's going to work with the changes. Obviously, these are going to be nerfed big time. I mean, I would usually put 3 of these threat generation ones, 150% threat ones in there, but I haven't got 3, so I've got 2 and then a 1 minus threat, whatever. If you have got 3, put 3 red ones in there, yeah. Okay, so console wise, we're going to go for this chronometric capacitor because it's got the EPG again. It's got the polar on damage as well, so that boosts these little bad boys. I mean, to be fair, these don't really get that high damage, so it's not really worth wasting console spaces to actually boost polar on damage. It's really not, because they don't really go great. They don't boost massively. You know, you can get sort of constant 2k hits out of these anyway, so that's pretty good if it's rapid all the time. Constant 2k every 10 seconds you're getting like 100 hits or something ridiculous at 2k. That's sweet. And then with all this splashes as well, it's even nicer, so it's not worth trying to boost any polar on damage. Just have that in there for the 25%, and then you've obviously got to just worry about your EPG and your exotic damage for the entropy shit. So for the standard, you got the 20% bonus with the Delphic tier. You know, bog standard for an entropy shit. You've got to have that on there. This I'm using the console here for the tactical stabilizer. You know, the console that comes with the ship. It's got the readiness for the tactical because I don't have any of my stats, my skill tree. Plus it's got that overload tactical systems. You know, you're getting 5% recharge every 3 secs for 30 seconds in the firing cycle. For 30 seconds, that's a long ass time. I mean, if you puck that as well, you know, the probability manipulation as well as that console, it's just super tough. For 30 seconds, it's ridiculous. And then obviously this is your save your life, plus it gives you the 26% whole healing. And obviously if anybody, when you hear the pew pew and then your health goes down to there, there you go, you just press that and you're instantly healed again. That's just you get out of jail free card, and then you pop your shit just to get everything back down to cooldown, which is sweet. Okay, last but not least, you've got the constriction anchor. That's just for the bonus exotic damage again. I mean, the anchor itself, it does alright when it grabs somebody. If they can't shoot it, if they're too bloody stupid to turn around and realise they're held by it and they're wondering why they've stopped moving, then it does work really well. You know, it holds anybody unless you jump out of it or kill it. So it's good. Alright, okay, so that's all the bits and pieces. So skills. I'm obviously going to be maxing out the science tree, blah blah blah, standard for a tactical build. I'm not going to go through it too much. I'm just going to say, you know, max. Don't worry about torps. Even if I do a torp build, I don't think I even change or add this, because it just doesn't seem to do shit for me. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I'm not very good at a torpedo, so I just take them out anyway. As I was going, I forgot to say actually, you don't have to have these single cannons, because this build's got ultra damps and the DOF and all that shit. You can put heavies up here and it turns beautifully, you know, it really does. But with the plasma, that's probably what will happen when these get nerfed. I'll probably get rid of these and I'll put some heavies up here, and with the turn rate and all that sort of shit, that's probably going to be the highest sort of damage rate. So, but I like the singles, they really do work. Okay, back to the tree. Right, so we're going to go max on that. This is good, this drain infection. I mean, people say it's shit, but it's another electrical damage thing for me, because obviously you see I'm doing the Piazon electrical splash and something else in a minute I'm doing with electrical splash. I might as well have this as well, so yeah, I'll go for that. Plus I'm doing a lot of drain shit, so yeah, go for it. I don't usually have that, but I have at the moment. Okay, so we're going to go full impulse. Flow, yeah, I might as well have one in there. I mean, it doesn't, to be honest, when you're a big drainer, it doesn't really matter about the flow. But yeah, I'll have one in there. Okay, so moving down, going for shield hardness. Not really worried about shield regeneration or this damage control. It just seems to be your slow ass hull regeneration. If I've got stuff that's healing me really quick anyway, what's the point? All I'm going to worry about is my hull plating, because nobody seems to use like energy weapons really, so I'm just going to do that. Okay, and then I'm going to max for that. There's for the hull pen. I'm only really worried about hull, to be honest. If I bother putting a video of me playing like STFs, I kill things without taking a shield down at all. All my attack goes straight through shields, so I don't worry about shields. Worry about my own shields though, so I've got this on there, and then I've got the 3 on there for the Psi Ultimate. Even though all my cooldowns are handled by something else, I still have to have 3 on there just for the Psi Ultimate, so I get the the extra hull healing and the suffering that's stacking damage, and the probability manipulation increase in time by 30 secs. So that's sweet with this build, because obviously I'm using the protonic cannons, so I need that crit chance. It crits every time and then does hull damage, so pretty sweet. Okay, specialization. So what I'm going to go for here, got the Temporal Operative number 1, got the Strategist number 2. I mean, Strategist, the cooldown reduction on that when you've got your threatening stance on is a must. It's in every time on every build for me now. I don't bother changing it. I never used to have it. I used to have like Pilot as number 1 and then like Temporal as second or something, but no, Strategist every time now. Which is a little bit of a pain in the arse, because I do quite like the turn from the Pilot and some of the immunities you get with the Pilot tree. But for this one, Temporal Op, obviously because it's got all the entropic bullshit. This thing, I never even see it happening. It must happen, but I never see it. So it's probably just me. I'm too busy looking at other shit. So what else do I need? I don't really need any of that. I don't even know if I need that. I wish you could have like 2 secondaries, because I'd have that as a secondary, because I only really need it as a secondary, but then I need Strategist, so it's a bit of a shame. Okay, traits. Right, so traits I'm going to go for here. Let's go through the bog standards. I'm going to go for ablative shell. Then I need to get my flow caps, not my flow caps, my drain and my exotic up again, because as you noticed it's pretty low because of my consoles, so I need that little boost there. There you go, got a bit of accuracy. Biotech patch for the heal. Give it your all, because every time you use engineering, which is that and that, any 3 of them, that's going to give you dodge 20% of all the damage every 3 seconds, so must have. Right, let's go Helmsman, got to have that, because it gives it a 10% flight turn rate, blah blah blah, evasive cooldown. Inspirational laser with a 10% chance for plus 10 to most starship skills. Alright, self mod, must have again, 50% shield penetration for 10 secs for all your critical hits, blah blah blah. That's a must have on this build, because you see it big time your first hits. It's just lovely watching a hull just going, no shields even dented. Right, particle manipulation for your exotic damage boosts. And then last but not least, we got positive feedback loop. You get your 10% exotic, 10% hull every time you're firing shit. So it's pretty much, I've never watched it happen, but I'm sure it goes constantly. So that's worth having. Right, what we got down here, then we have got, I'm not too sure about all hands on deck. I mean, it's basically because I have nothing else really worth going in there, so I might as well get the 5% cooldown reduction time on my captain abilities, might as well. Fuck it, it's good. Alright, and then we got this one, catastrophic. This is what I was talking about earlier with the electrical damage. It's nice to do just pure hull damage constantly all the time. Obviously this one with jam sensors, because my EPG is sort of high, it does a nice 20k hit, but obviously when you're in game that's like 30 to 50 with your buffs. And what's the cooldown rate on it? I think it's pretty damn quick, I can't even remember. Blah 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 blah. Oh, I think it's like every 15 seconds or something it fires off, so that's sort of 50k every 15 seconds as well. Standard, invincible. Okay, let's move down. Then we got this one, preferential targeting. Right, this is to boost the cannon damage, because as you saw before I had no sort of boosting stuff for any of my polar on damage boosts, so I've got this one here. So every time I do fire at will, Let me show you that it does 100% damage, blah blah blah, to cannon rapid fire. Alright, so let me have a look here. So I've got 530 Polaron damage, so that's with bugger all power. 530, proc that. What do we get? 611. You know, it's definitely not 100% boost in damage, but it's pretty good. You know, it does really well. You definitely notice it if you take it off. So I have that on there. You know, it's a shame. It'd be nice to have that Piezon beam on the rear and have that beam overload, but I do need that. I definitely notice a big drop in damage output when I took that off and put a beam overload on the back instead. I mean, I know it's nice to have a nice 50k spike from that beam overload, but it misses a lot because it's got no accuracy, so it does miss a lot. I'm not sure if the actual I'm pretty sure it does. If the beam misses, the actual electric damage misses. So yeah, it's not worth the risk. You might as well have that on there. And then the cannons are constantly firing, so it's better to have them, you know, boosted by a 1k's worth of damage or something constantly. Definitely. Okay, then we got a highly specialised as well. I mean, that's standard for any build that's got this much sort of specialist officer shit going on. Yeah, you need that. It's going to give you all those boosts. Right, okay, I think we're done there. Yeah, okay. Space rep. We're going to go for the active hull hardening. Bog standard all day long. Just gives you that sort of damage resistance as you start getting your ass kicked. So you need shit like that. So get it on. To stabilise in phase array, this is a must. It says once every 60 seconds, but this goes constantly. That's definitely bugged to shit. That's always on. So that's a must. Bonus particle gens. It's a shame I need, it's not particle gen, sorry, bonus exotic damage. It's a shame I need this because I could do with something else. You know, these three here. You've got to definitely have this engine overload. That's that sweet crap that whenever you hit them they just stop in their tracks and they can't get out of it no matter what. That is damn good, and it's damn annoying, but you have to have it. Then you've got this automated protomatter thing, you know, that gives you the shield regeneration, 100% hull regen, blah blah blah, when you're critically hit. So that's a must as well. I mean, I would like to have this because obviously I would take off the exotic 5% damage and I'll put that on in its place because this gives you that you know, immune to control effects every 5 seconds, blah blah. So that's basically countering that sort of. Well, it's not totally countering because it's 45 and that's 30, but it's kind of a get out of that card, so to speak. I don't know if it's exactly worth it, but it would be nice if I could have it, but I can't, obviously. Okay, so active space reps. Right, so we got, yeah, deployed sensors. Who cares about that? That's good for getting rid of the people's mines and shit and their other little pets. I don't even use that, but it does boost your shields. There's your sort of get the hell out of their cloak quickly and run away as fast as you can move. And this one, obviously, for this ship is ridiculously overpowered because I'm using an exotic build. So you pop that on somebody, you can pretty much one bang somebody with that. If you buff it totally and put all your power levels up and everything's over 125 and then plug that, it's just ridiculously overpowered. I'm pretty sure, is it getting a nerf or a buff? I can't remember. I mean, if it's getting buffed again, it's just ridiculous. So let's wait and see what happens with that. Okay, right. Oh, actually, I unlocked the tier 5. What's this one then? Yeah, it's ground. Bastards. That's just shit. Ground. Why would you do ground? If that was a space bloody electrical damage, that would be sweet. But no, they did a ground one again. So that got to stay how it is. Okay, station wise. So for stations, characters I'm going to use. These are all like what are they there? Krenim, yeah, Krenim guys for the reduction in. So I've got 3. So I've got tactical, I've got science, I've got engineering. So that's 10% reduction in the cooldowns. I probably don't need it, but I have it anyway because I'll, you know, if I take them off, I do notice these take a few more seconds to cool down or something. So I will keep it on there, even with what's it? This not diversionary tactics, but the specialist tray that it goes to. I can't remember what it's bloody called now. Jesus, what's it called? Strategist. That's what it's called. Even with strategist, you know, you still notice a delay in the cooldown, so it's good to have that on there. This one here is Spock. Obviously, Spock holograms, a specialist character. I don't know, somebody gave him to me. It's pretty sweet, but his trait is He's got astrophysicist as well. So that again is more EPG, more drain, more perception. So I put him on there in the tree. For the actual moves the guys are going to have, they, as you can see there with the trait I had before, I have to have the beam fire at will to give me that extra cannon rapid fire damage. So I have the beam fire 1, cannon rapid 1. That's pretty much all I have for tactical tree. I don't really bother with any more in this ship. Don't really need any more ship. Don't need attack patterns. I do like an Omega, but I don't bother with it because it's definitely better to have. It's definitely better. I will say, maybe I shouldn't, because people would say rapid DK3 is better than recursive shearing, and it is, yeah, obviously. But sometimes with this, if you're lucky, the timing could be a bit shit, because sometimes you can fire that on and everything else is immune, so that 5 seconds of damage is shit. But other times you can be really lucky and you can pop that on and they've fucked all their immunities, so then everything else hits with a nice big hit, and then bosh, that triggers off, and it, I've seen it do 120, 130, I've heard of 200k hits with that stuff, so I think it's worth having on there. And rapid DK1 does okay, so I have I have the recursive shearing, then I have the entropic as standard, and then I have the rapid DK1. It does well, rapid DK1, I can't fault it. I mean, the other one, I think rapid DK3 just does like 4k per sec, but 2.9, 3k is good, and it still does good heavy damage. Okay, so the other one we got on the side, we got the jam target sensors. As I said before, with the jam target, I've got the trait that goes with that, so where is it? Why does it not show up? Why does it not show up on there? There it is, right, okay, so it shows up when I highlight over this, so there you go, I do the 20k, so I've got the jam sensors 1, I mean, I'm not worried about it being a jam sensors 2 or 3, because to be fair, it's a pile of shit. I do 17k damage to them by farting, so I'll placate for like 1 second maybe, but it's just the damage I'm looking for. It does a nice big solid hit. Okay, then we're going to go hazard emitters 2, and then we're going to go for a drain. I mean, this shit relies on power levels, so when the plasmonic leech goes and all that crap, it might be shit, but at this current time and this current meta, it really works. So I go for energy siphon 2. I mean, that's giving me the plus 40 power levels, which is nice, very nice boost. I used to think that, like, when people like jump out of it or evaded it or something, that you instantly lost the power drain, but you don't. I'm such a noob sometimes. I never play it properly, I never read it properly, but yeah, you keep that 20 seconds of power for the whole time, so it's a good power loss, and by the time that 20 seconds is out, that's cooled down again, because everything's going. I know it's like a 45 sec cooldown or whatever, 46, but because I've got the trait that does the psi cooldowns and the strategist, it's constantly on, so I'm constantly on for plus 40 power levels with that, which is sweet. And then you've got your science team once. I mean, you must have your science team and your hazard emitters. Got to have that. It'd be nice to have a polarized hull, but I'd rather do the outgoing damage, so I have jam target there. Okay, right. Engineering this is where you shouldn't use these two together because they fuck around with each other's cooldowns, but it works. I mean, it really works. I've never used them both before because I always thought they just messed each other's up, but it doesn't. With the cheesy bloody doffs that go with this as well, you get the cheesy doff that gives it the 45 sec. So what is it? Let's highlight over here. Where is it? Plus 40 all damage resistance for 23 seconds. So this one, you pop it and you get plus 23 damage for 23 seconds, whatever it is, 23 secs. And obviously with my strategist and all my cooldown stuff, this is always at global. This one's a 10-second cooldown, so with this I'm going to placate the enemy every time for 4 secs. You see there, when damaged, placate for 4 seconds to the attacker. So obviously, you go invisible for 4 seconds, every 10 seconds with that. And to be fair, even spamming them, I don't find that these fuck around with each other too much. They still work really well together. And with those two doffs giving you the damage boost all the time, and the turn rates, incredible for this. And with that constantly placating you, this two as a pair it's a must. It really is. I'm always going to use this from now on in. That is it. I know people hate me because I placate everything and I'm cheesy as shit, but I don't care. Sodja. I'm using those two, and if you're a cannon build, you've got to have this inertial dampeners on it. I tried before always just doing the placate, and No, you've got to have the dampeners on there. You've got to have the turn rate. It really helps you out. And then obviously you've got your emergency power engines. Yeah, you've got to have your engine power on there. Okay, right. So what else we got? Nothing there. Let's go through the bridge guys, the rosters. Active space, what I've got here is bog standard stuff. You know, I've got this guy, energy weapons guy, 3% chance, 10% crit severity, blah blah blah, stacks 3 times. Sweet. I really need to get a purple one of these actually. I'll probably go and buy one in a minute. Yeah, I do. I should do a purple one, so I'll go get one. Okay, then we've got this one here. This is your recharge evasive maneuvers when you use emergency powered engines, so that's a must as well. Then we got obviously the DOFs I was talking about before. We got this one that placates, blah blah blah, placate for 4 seconds. We got this one that gives you the 40 all damage resistance, which is sick. I'll probably have to show you that actually, just in case nobody's checked it out before. So there you go, there's my standard resistances, which are pretty damn high already actually, that's not bad. But there they go, and then you pop that, there you go. Nice, constantly, pretty much that sort of damage boost, so that's good. Okay, and then I've got this guy here. I mean, Khalil, to be fair, I've only got one emergency power thing. It's probably not worth it, but I can't really think of anything else that would go in his space. I've got nothing else. So, sod it. Khalil, I'll have him in there, whatever. And then we got this guy. For this one here, for doing our, 15 seconds, you get 50% to heal 40% of your hull by hazard emitters. So, what is it, that there? 21,000 and get 40% of that. And it pretty much always works, so that's a good one to have on there. Okay, alright, I think we're done here. Yes, we are. Right, okay, so change for the new meta coming up. Probably, I'm presuming tomorrow. If it is the case, then probably won't see a new build from me for a little while, because I'll have to get used to it and check out what's going on. I'm going to try and definitely do some kind of beam overload crazy build, because if that stuff's been changed drastically, I'm definitely going to come out with that. And obviously feedback pulse has been nerfed, so sweet, no more feedback pulse, all that sort of shit. But yeah, it's going to be fun, boys, it's going to be fun. Right, okay, cheers for watching, see you later.
Our love story could be kinda gory, far from boring. We'd meet at a post apocalypse. I'd be slowly walking in a group stalking you. You'd be the only man alive that I could not resist. Then all of your friends, they'd try to kill us, but only because they'd be jealous that our love is deeper than Edward and Bella's. Oh, if I were a zombie, I'd never eat your brain. I just want your heart, yeah, I don't want your heart, I just want your heart, yeah. Oh, if I were a zombie, I'd never eat your brain. I just want your heart, yeah, I don't want your heart, I just want your heart, cause I want you. We'd be hiding in a second floor apartment, knocking all the stairs down to save your life from the undead. Double barrel shotgun, taking out the slow ones. Then you'd see the passion burning in my eye, and I'd keep my head. Then all of your friends, they'd try to kill us, but only because they'd be jealous that our love is deeper than Edward and Bella's. Oh, if I were a zombie, I'd never eat your brain. I just want your heart, yeah, I don't want your heart, I just want your heart, yeah. Oh, if I were a zombie, I'd never eat your brain. I just want your heart, yeah, I don't want your heart, I just want your heart, cause I want you. And I tried not to bite and infect you because I respect you too much. And that's why I'd wait until we got married. Oh, and our happiest days would be spent picking off all your friends, and they'd see a love this deep won't stay there.